You guys want to hear about this woman called Eliza Joy, who is going through anything but joy at the minute, I'll be completely honest, because she found out the 20K, that is $20,000, had been taken from her savings account.
I see an email from SoFi telling me that my husband Jace has transferred $19,998 from our savings account, and that it's been approved and it's going to be happening in the next 3 to 5 business days.
Now, if you're thinking what a lot of people are thinking, oh no, is she literally in danger? She doesn't seem to think that she is. She is defending her man. She is saying that this was all a big misunderstanding and that in fact it was some fraudulent behavior going on with these scammers. And I think you pronounce it like is it Sophie or Sophie or so? I don't know. Basically, it's like a savings account thing. It's a separate company. I'd never heard of it before. I think it's called Sophie. But the woman doesn't believe that the husband could possibly be capable of this. This has sent TikTok alarm bells a ringing, and we're gonna just dissect and see what is going on here. I am in no which way saying that what he's doing is some sort of an Alpine divorce or is some sort of an Alpine breakup or there's anything nefarious going on his end. I'm just relaying this viral moment, talking about it, having a general conversation, yada yada yada. I'm not saying that he was actually planning on Alpine divorcing her. Okay, that's not what I'm saying. But I want to take a look at this anyway. Oh, if you're not quite aware of what an Alpine breakup is, okay, so typically an Alpine breakup is when you have, usually a man will take a woman or a partner, whoever, whatever, away on like a long hike or on a trip wherever where they're not quite sure where they're going. They then end up breaking up with them there and leaving them. Okay, and this could be if you're going on a camping trip, if you're going on just a hike, if you're going on a vacation. You don't really know where you're going or where you are location wise, and you get broken up with, and then basically they then run away. That's what an Alpine breakup is. And it can have varying difficulty settings. I can't really describe it any other way, where it could be that you go for a hike and the man leaves you, like breaks up with you and then leaves you there, and then you're kind of left stranded, but you manage to get back safely. There could be another element where you're on a trip and you literally get broken up with, abandoned, and you are left for like dead kind of thing. You do not know where you are. You got no idea. You're left without food, water, all of this kind of stuff. And you do hear about that kind of stuff happening, and it has happened in the past. And as we're going along with the story, you'll understand why a lot of people were calling this an Alpine divorce. Basically, there is this woman called Eliza Joy. She's up here, and she says that she met her husband Jace not that long ago. 22 years old, wife, homemaking, lifestyle and more, finding the small joys in every day and sharing them with you. Eliza Joy, she's 22. She has just found her husband. And if we go and have a little look, it's very, 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 very evident. She is besotted with Jace. So here it says, this is my husband Jace. I've never had to ask him to love me, never had to prove anything to him or act a certain way to earn his approval. He just loves me because I'm Lisa or Liza. We've only been together for a short while, but I've never felt so seen or loved or smiled more in my whole life. And that's my why. Okay? Fairy tale for the masses, fairy tale to be documented. However, that all kind of came crashing down, at least on TikTok, when she comes on and she states that $20,000 was let go out of their, what was it, like a Sophie, their savings account. It wasn't quite 20K, it was actually a very, very, very specific amount. $19,998 was transferred from their savings account just when they were planning on going away.
Someone just stole $20,000 out of my savings account. Yeah, if you think that's insane, so do I. Basically, my husband and I have a joint checking and savings account with SoFi because they have the best high yield savings rate that we could find. We're supposed to go out of town and go camping, and we'll be out of service. So I'm going through my email yesterday and making sure I'm caught up on everything. And I see an email from SoFi telling me that my husband Jace has transferred $19,998 from our savings account, and that it's been approved and it's going to be happening in the next 3 to 5 business days. That's really weird. My husband wouldn't transfer that much money without telling me, surely. So I'm like just racking my brain trying to figure out what's going on. And then I remember like, oh, we just talked about our retirement account and how our high yield savings caps out at a certain amount. Well, maybe it would be better to move some of our high yield savings into our retirement accounts. No big deal.
She says that Jace would never do that. This would never happen in a million years. The thing that I find a little bit squiffy, okay, a little bit squiffy in all of this, is that she says that when she noticed he was at work and she went and rang him, and she says that he always answers. Okay, he always answers. And if he is busy, such as at a meeting or he's on a call, whatever, he will message her and say, I'll call you back in a minute. But he never answered. Not only that, but she texted him, called him, texted him, nothing.
So I text Jace because I'm like, oh, did you just move money to our retirement account and not tell me? And I call him and he doesn't answer, which is not normal for him. He always answers me, and if he doesn't, he texts me and says, hey, like, I'll call you, I'm doing whatever. No answer. And then I text him, I'm like, hey, $19,000 and almost 20K is out of our savings. Did you do that? Still no answer. I call him again. No answer. And at this point, I'm like starting to panic because I'm like, this is so weird. Like, what's going on? He finally texts me back and he's like, so sorry, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you soon. I didn't do that, but I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of it. Are you kidding me? First of all, I married the most nonchalant man in the world. Nothing phases him. He's like, oh, I'm sure we'll figure it out. No worries. I'm panicking. $20,000? How does someone just steal $20,000?
He texted her and said something extremely nonchalant. Was just like, oh, we'll sort it out later. Kind of a bit blasé about the whole thing. Now, she's out here saying that that's one of the reasons why she loves him, that he's nonchalant. I can't think of a single person that would be that nonchalant about losing pretty much $20,000 just poof out of thin air. Now, I do realise that obviously hackers hack, and usually if that kind of money gets moved, especially into an account that you do not have any affiliation with, like, usually the banks will act on it, give you your money back or reimburse you. They say that the husband must have transferred that money. No if, why or buts. He must have transferred it over. And that's the reason why it's going to be incredibly difficult to get that money back.
Finally get to talk to someone and they're like, oh yeah, like, you're just going to have to dispute the charge, but we can't get your money back until we're done with an investigation. I'm sorry, $20,000? You're not going to give us $20,000 back. So they have 10 days to investigate our dispute of our transaction. According to their records, my husband is the one who transferred the money. Even though we have two-factor authentication or whatever that is on, so like anytime anyone signs in, we get a text message. Jace gets a text message to his phone. We had no one sign into our account. That's not normal. The only activity that's been weird is right before that 20K got transferred out, we had like 4 or 5 transactions from Ally Bank. There were like 80 cents in, 80 cents out. And it was like $5 in, $5 out. To US Bank was the transfer for $19,998. And so basically we're just at SoFi's mercy of whether or not they decide. Since we did catch it within 48 hours, we caught it within 24, but I think if you catch it within 48 hours, you're federally protected under certain laws. We're trying to look into that more. But we're basically at SoFi's mercy, like, if they realize, like, it actually wasn't us or not.
They're also going to be camping out of service really soon. The fact that she is saying, like, oh, we did kind of have, like, a conversation about maybe putting money in a retirement fund, instead of savings. But for her to then just go, oh, well, maybe he just did that. No, I would need it in clear cut, writing down if we were actually going to be moving that kind of money into a retirement fund. Like, that's a pretty big decision. That's like a decision that both of you are sitting next to each other when you're watching that money move kind of thing. Like, even if you briefly had that conversation, I still would be a lot more like, oh my God, if someone had just made that decision in the moment to move it. But either way, She says she's a homemaker. She says she's this and that. Maybe she just doesn't really have a lot to do with the finance side of things, even though I think that every woman should have control over what's going on with the finances.
We are going to be camping out of service, so every day we're going to have to drive back out of our campsite, probably about an hour to service, to find out if they decide to give us our money back. And if not, $20K down the drain. $20,000.
So people are utterly convinced that this was an Alpine breakup because of all of this happening, and then the fact that they're planning on going away on a camping trip. One commenter said, after a little digging, you'll have only known each other for a year, so you don't really know each other at all. Wishing all the best. Someone said, we're going camping and won't have signal. Yeah, that bit. The Alpine breakup is really Alpine breakup in when you're going to go somewhere where there's specifically no signal. Let's pick the place with the least amount of signal possible, please. She then comes back on and she is armed with more tea on the situation. She posts a picture saying, me to the people in my comment section accusing my husband of stealing 20K out of our own savings and saying it's not safe to go camping with him when he literally was fast asleep in bed next to me when the hackers stole our money, and is a perfect cutie golden retriever husband who wouldn't hurt a fly. She does actually go on to clarify this because people were like, wait, I thought you said he was at work. What's going on? No, he was at work when she noticed the money had gone, but when the money had actually been approved, he was lying in bed next to her.
Some people are saying, why did you say that you called your husband when you found out? But then you said in your next video that he was asleep in bed next to you when the scam happened. I found out later, after the scam happened, while my husband was at work. But when we saw the fraud, then we looked at his account and realized that a hacker had gotten into his account. It tells you every time you've signed in. And someone had signed into our account earlier that morning when we both were in bed. He was asleep right next to me.
What I will say is that you can always schedule payments to be taken out. She does also go on to say that you can track activity, and the activity was happening then, not so much like the scheduled. So I don't know what that means in terms of a scheduled payment. I'm just saying that you can schedule payments to go out, you can do that. But the fact he's saying wouldn't hurt a fly, now I'm not saying that this was ever his plan, but what I am saying is that we should never just assume that a man would not hurt you. You can't. I mean, yes, people in general, but I say this all the time, I'm only attracted to men like that. I've only ever been in relationships with men, so I can only speak from my own experience. But no, you should never assume that a husband would never hurt a fly. You should never assume that, because this is how they get you. This is actually how they get you. This is how you end up being in situations, because some of these men give off this, oh, I would never hurt a fly gig, and then actually they would. They'd literally stomp on the whole nest. Do you know what I mean? So no. No, let's not. But she is 22, she is newly married, she has known him for a year. Yeah, whatever. I'm just saying we should always have our guard a little bit raised, especially if this weird savings account thing is going on. She also says that they are going camping with her and her family, which has made me go, okay, chill out, maybe it'll be fine. And it's not just mum and dad, it's extended.
Okay, so I've made some people very concerned based on my last video, so I'm going to clear some things up. Number one, I love and trust my husband, and I am going to be perfectly safe. Number two, we're going camping with my side of the family, all my extended family, so it's 40 plus people, including my parents and siblings, who are very protective of me. But they don't need to protect me from my husband, because I'm fine. But just to clarify, we're not going to be alone. I've been going to this area since I literally was 3 months old, every single year. It's a big deal, it's a big trip, so no, we're not going to cancel it. We're not going to let a scammer ruin one of my favorite memories of all time. We're just going to be responsible and check our email. Get service so that we can check our email. We have filed a police report. We have started an official fraud investigation with SoFi. It was Bank of America that it was transferred to.
So at least it's not just them two. At least it's not just them two. Although there are some people who are still going and still saying, yeah, well, maybe he could like take out the whole family or like whatever. I don't know. Maybe this is a conspiracy. This is literally just me free thinking. It's like freestyling, but free thinking. This is me freestyling a thought right now. So what would happen if he moved the money, but he kind of like effed up on the dates of when the money was supposed to be fully transferred. He moved the money thinking that, oh, she's going to go away with her family and all that. I'm going to pull out last minute and I'm going to hit the road. I'm not saying that is even vaguely what's happening. I'm just trying to understand it from like potentially another story arc. But no. She says he wouldn't hurt a fly. They're all going on this family camping trip, so therefore everyone should really just shut it. Also, they have now escalated it to the police and also escalated it to where else? They've started an official fraud investigation.
It really sucks. It happens to lots of people. We use SoFi. We thought it was trustworthy, but I know scams can happen to anyone at any bank, and it's really unfortunate people are dishonest and want to steal hardworking people's money. I'm safe, and please be nice to my husband because he's a victim of this too.
One thing that is really, really, really holding what she's saying up, in the sense that he really didn't have anything to do with it, is the fact that the whole time them two have been camping without there any signal. She keeps on driving out, or they're going further away places where there is signal. She's updating us, and she said that when they're conducting this investigation, there's been more suspicious activity going on, despite them changing all the passwords, changing this and that. I mean, that's one thing that is kind of getting me a little bit, is because usually if you notice something fraudulent is going on with your account, usually what will then end up happening is that you'll be asked to like change everything, like, and a lot of banking apps now, I've got it as well, use fingerprint, like use your fingerprint. There's loads of different things, but generally your account will be put on lockdown and you'll be asked to like update everything, in which case would the hackers even be able to get in there in the very first place? I don't know, because I've never had someone directly hack into my account and take money out of like a banking account.
We have gotten more notifications from SoFi in the last 24 hours saying that there has been more suspicious activity on our account while we've been out of service, and so we've been in contact with them. They've basically locked our accounts down and we're just waiting, calling them and going back and forth. I'm actually on hold on the other line right now. So yeah, I will share probably one more time about this on whether or not we get our money back when that has been resolved all the way.
I've had it where someone has hacked into like an online account with somewhere, and then I've had bank cards that are up on the account and they've then spent money, and then I quickly learnt my lesson to not save any bank cards even to my computer. I'm just like, no. I had it recently where there was this guy. I knew it was a guy because he stupidly changed the addresses and put up his actual address in London and put his name and everything and where he lived, and had hacked into my Morrison's account, which is like a food shopping place around here, had hacked into it and had then proceeded to do like an online food shop consisting of lots of Benson and Hedges, the Straits, loads of dumplings, and loads and loads and loads of fizzy laces, like the sweets. I was so confused. I was just like, what? And I only knew about it because I got a text on my phone telling me that the food shop was going to be delivered in the next hour. So I then had to ring up, do this whole entire thing. This person is not, can you please stop people from going to that address, because this isn't me. This is not me. And they were like, yeah, we're so sorry. They basically cancelled everything. I took down all of my cards, and they were still trying to put orders through. That's the thing. Even after I'd like taken down all of my cards, they were still trying. So I knew that he was on my account, so my last and final like F you to the person was going on and changing his address that he'd put in to like some expletive, like putting this thing like F off you, see you next Tuesday, basically. And yeah, that was my last thing, and I just left it up there, and I left my account like open for like a good 20 minutes, but all of my cards had gone, so that he could actually see what I'd changed the address to. That was the last time I ever got hacked. This has really gone off on a tangent, but she then comes back on and she says that she has learned her lesson not to share these kind of things to TikTok because not everyone has the same life experience, and what she was doing was just talking about bank fraud and not necessarily about the fact that her husband may be like planning to abandon her or unalive her or run away, because that isn't in her shared experience or whatever.
I realized that the way that I told the story, if people have different life experiences than me, how they can maybe see the situation differently. I genuinely was sharing that video just to bring awareness to the fact that you need to pay attention to your bank accounts. I know I'll be watching my bank account much closer now, just to remind people to make sure their accounts are secure. I can totally see how it was taken out of context, and you have very little context into my life because I don't share a lot of my life on the internet. But for the people who are genuinely concerned, thank you for your concern. I can assure you I am safe, I am happy, and I think that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm not going to try and convince people. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, and that's a beautiful part about life. Everyone can live the way they want. I'm done posting about my relationship and as far as that goes on the internet.
But that might be in your shared experience. We'll never know. We will never know. But what I will say is that if he was planning anything nefarious, if he was, then making these TikToks has literally saved her life. If. But, I mean, I think a large part of me just thinks that this was... I don't actually really know, to be honest. I'm kind of a little bit confused about the whole thing. Like, how would that even be possible? I think the fact that activity is still going on despite both of them being at this no signal camp is highly suspicious. I'm a bit confused by that. So maybe this was a hacker, but surely you would have changed all your accounts by now. I don't even know, but people... even at this point are not convinced. Someone said, so you've never heard of an Alpine divorce? Someone else said, what dose of Lexapro is this? Someone else said, I work in the banking world. We see this kind of thing happen a lot, and it's almost never hackers. It's usually a trusted friend or family member who has access to the account. The best advice I can give you is to trust only what your bank's fraud team tells you. They'll be honest even if it's not what you want to hear. If it really was hackers who did it, they'll be able to tell you that too. Yeah, this is a crazy thing, because it's just like the fraud team were literally getting back to her and being like, this is definitely your husband who did this. Because surely they'd be able to tell where all these different wire snap thingies are coming from. I don't know. Hopefully she comes back. Hopefully she tells us exactly where was it pinging? Isn't there something to do with pinging? Where like devices ping in certain areas? Like, surely we can find out. Surely we can find out where the source of the pinging is. And I need to find out who it is. Anyway, I'm way too invested in this. That is pretty much all I had to say. What do you guys think of this? Do you think he was planning an Alpine breakup? Or do you think that really TikTok are taking us way too far and actually it was just a simple case of fraudsters acting fraudy? Okay, I would love to know. Please let me know down in the comment section. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. You take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I will catch up with you guys in the next video.